Hello viewers, welcome to the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm your presenter Tarnia. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. Among the major developments, 2013 developments in the Maho constituency highlighted. The Housing Ministry anticipates a busy 2014 and lack of legal representation for prison inmates may be a contributor to recurring crime and violence in Dominica. Stay with me as I bring you the details coming up right after the break.
If you can believe this,
come by my house and let me show you some movies.
why can't you believe this? Some mothers don't believe their own children when they say they've been sexually abused, and they don't report it. Remember, if anyone asks to see or touch their private parts, touches them inappropriately, shows them or forces them to touch one's private parts, has sex with them, shows them pornographic material, or deliberately lets them hear or see the act of sex, then it is sexual abuse. Believe your child and report the sexual abuse. For more information about child abuse, contact these agencies.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. Lack of legal aid or legal representation for prison inmates is said to be a main concern and could be deemed as a possible contributor to recurring crime and violence in Dominica. This concern was highlighted recently at a press conference called by the Interdenominational Committee on Crime and Violence. The organization, together with other concerned groups, recently embarked on a project to help combat crime and violence on the island. Pastor Marcus Francis, a member of the committee, during the press conference, expounded on the consequences of lack of proper representation for prison inmates.
For example, within the court system, an inmate or somebody who is allegedly involved in an offense who may not have the resources to hire a lawyer would find himself before the court without proper legal representation. And that to us is a major concern. It is unfair for a young man to be before the court system without proper legal representation. And as we went through doing our findings and discussions, we uncovered that type of situation. And that sometimes in cases where the lawyers would have been paid, but the lawyers would not show up to handle the matter for the inmates. They would find themselves in prison for a little while.
Pastor Francis added that inadequate rehabilitation programs at the Dominica State Prison is also a concern. He said there is a need for appropriate counseling and other therapeutic services for prison inmates.
There are other areas that we believe there can be significant improvement in the treatment of the prisoners, the need for counseling, need for support, and the issue of how they are dealt with once they are being discharged from the prison is also a concern. That there is no intermediate, there's no mechanism to help them reintegrate back into society. And once they get out, it is difficult for them to even attract any kind of employment, because they must deal with that record. And these challenges are not helping to resolve the crime situation. It becomes a perpetual thing. Guys go out and say to you, it is safer in there, and they must go back.
The press conference called by the Interdenominational Committee on Crime and Violence on December 18, 2013, put forward recommendations on how to prevent and combat incidences of crime and violence in Dominica. In October and November of 2012, the IDCCV brought together government and opposition parties to discuss mutual concerns and what strategies could be developed by both sides to reduce levels of crime and violence in the society. The 2013 year has been described as a year which brought significant development to the lives of the people of the Maho constituency. The availability of a comfortable playing field in the community of Maho has been singled out by Parliamentary Representative for the Maho constituency, Honourable Rayburn Blackmore, as a major accomplishment. The Maho MP made that disclosure during an interview with GIS News at the end of 2013.
When I look at Maho, we have done so many things. And one of the things that really gives me so much comfort, because when I was small growing up, when folks like Mervyn Thomas, Open Bats, on fellas there, we played cricket every minute. We played cricket. I can recall going to primary school in Maho. The field wasn't a sorry stage. I'm happy that we have been able together to significantly improve the playing field in Maho to the point where it's not only lighted, it's well lit, and persons are rushing to play. We have the best softball cricket league in the whole country.
Honourable Blackmore said his work as a parliamentary representative is guided by the mantra of putting people first. He said in looking back on the year 2013, the Maho constituency realized significant developments for which he is proud.
We have made tremendous gain in 2013, especially in the Maho constituency. We have improved our roads. A number of us good folks are studying locally and overseas. And we are going to build on those gains in 2014.
Pipe-borne water for the residents of Bells, Sylvania and Desport in 2013, according to Mr. Blackmore, is another of several accomplishments in Maho constituency. The Maho MP is encouraged by his accomplishments in 2013 and is committed to continue working in the interest of his constituents and the wider community.
We must make this world a better place for those to follow. And that is why I have made it my vocation to leave a legacy of prosperity for any person to follow. Because we have to understand that we're not on this earth forever. And as I've said before, and I want to reiterate for emphasis, that there were many power reps before me, and there shall be many after me. But what I will not do is to leave a legacy of hopelessness for anybody to follow. We are going to ensure that the Maho constituency remains the best.
Mr. Blackmore says plans are to construct a link road to connect the communities of Desport and Campbell. He said a playing field for the community of Warner is also on the cards. The Maho MP disclosed other plans for his constituency in 2014, which includes a health centre for the community of Canefield.
People of Canefield, we have elevated the lives of the people of Benwavin. There are no more squatters walking in and arriving, proper road, proper sidewalk. We have just started access to the people of Yanda, and so they don't have to walk in a track, so a number of things. And the people of Canefield now, we have to start talking about building a health center for the Canefield community, because the community that has emerged, and of course, and we have this wonderful group in Canefield East, and Canefield East has emerged, and we have to start talking about having a playing field for the young folks up there.
Rayburn Blackmore has been serving as parliamentary representative for the Maho constituency since 2000. The Ministry of Lands, Housing, Settlement and Water Resource Management says 2014 will be a busy year for housing improvement and water resource development. The minister responsible for those sectors, Honourable Reginald Austrie, told the press at the close of 2013 that the squatter regularization program intends to distribute over 300 lots to residents across the length and breadth of the island.
In this new year, we'll be focusing on a number of new areas for allocation of lands. And we're looking at in the Collio Heights, like where we call Platinum Pier along the west coast. We're now seeking to develop some 28 new lots in that area. Infrastructure work on that has already begun. In Glanville, Portsmouth, we have in fact done a subdivision of the Georgetown area, and we're hoping that very early in the new year, we'll have approximately 60 lots that will be made available to the people of Georgetown, Portsmouth, and the surrounding areas in the Georgetown area to take care of some of the land issues that arose earlier during the course of this year. We're also looking at the Courtney area, which is in the Lago area, where we have available now 170 lots. And we're hoping that towards the end of January, February, we should start allocation of those lots in the Cotton Hill Portsmouth area. In the Lily Valley area, which is in Trafalgar, we have the resources now to improve on the infrastructure, and there we're going to make another 28 lots available to the residents there. In Union Estate, we're developing another 28 lots. Additional 3.5 acres of land has been identified and earmarked for continued housing development in the Union Estate area, and we're hoping that that will come on stream very shortly. In Wotton Waven, we have some regularizations to do.
Also set to benefit from lot allocations are 11 families in Saint-Sever affected by a landslide some time ago and 25 families in Cochrane. According to the minister, the Housing Improvement Program, which has been upping life standards of hundreds of Dominicans, was conceptualized with a twofold objective. Housing developments in the Kalinago territory and Bellevue Roll were also discussed by the housing minister. He disclosed that early in the new year, the final 10 of 27 houses funded by the People's Republic of China will be handed over to the residents. In Bellevue Roll, Honorable Austri says Cabinet will meet to assess the best way forward for the government housing recipients. The sanitation improvement aspect took second place to critical housing renovations, but this year the sanitation program intensifies.
As far as the Ministry of Housing is concerned, we're going to be focusing very, very strongly on the issue of sanitation. As was previously announced, the government is taking an initiative to ensure that we wage battle against the use of pit latrines in this country and to allow our citizens to enjoy the benefits of modern washroom facilities. I can say to you that $1 million have in fact been committed to that project, and we're hoping that in this first phase that about 100 such facilities will be built and established throughout a number of communities in the country. And we speak to communities such as Portsmouth, Castle Bruce, St. Joseph, Collyho, Wesley, and I think 3 or 4 more villages that will serve as a pilot project for this washroom and sanitation aspect. So we'll be moving in that full speed ahead into the new year, and hoping that by the end of maybe the first phase, which I guess would be between 2 to 3 months, about 100 families will be the proud recipients of modern washroom facilities.
Honorable Austri says the sanitation issue is a critical one for the global community. The countries of the United Nations have recognized the role of proper sanitation in disease mitigation.
It is in fact a global issue. In India, there is a war being waged right now as we speak against the use of pit latrines, and the United Nations have considered that to be a problem and has placed that top on the agenda to eradicate the use of pit latrines all over the world. And Dominica is very, very proud to be associated with that initiative, and will raise the necessary financing to ensure that we can do just that.
In the area of water resource management, Honorable Austri revealed news that with the commissioning of the Penrice water supply system, Dominica will realize 100% access to potable water. The Labour Party government has taken up the expansive task of bringing fresh drinkable water to the entire country. That meant expanding water supply systems and in some cases constructing new systems altogether. Residents of Penrice were promised a system by the Finance Minister some time ago, and Honorable Austri, Minister for Water Resource Management, has announced that that will be brought to fruition this year.
We do have some resources available for the commencement of that project very early in the new year, and so on completion of that project, 100% of Dominica will have access to potable water.
Construction on the largest and most comprehensive water supply system along the west coast of the island is closer to completion. Honorable Austri says government is in the process of accepting tenders for the construction of a water tank in Grand Savanne. In Point Michel, government has seen it necessary to make improvements to the water supply system to ensure an altogether reliable framework of water provision for the entire island.
Union Estate Point Michel, because of the rapid expansion of that development, the water system there is proving to be inadequate, and so funds have been allocated and identified for the construction of a bigger storage tank, I think some 30,000 gallons, to assist in meeting the needs of the people in the Union Estate Point Michel area as far as water is concerned.
The minister affirmed that ongoing work on the Vekas water supply project will intensify in 2014. The nation's chief elections officer, Anita Rodney, recently outlined the specifics of voter registration in an interview with GIS News. The chief elections officer, operating out of the Electoral Commission, explained that the Commission handles matters of elections and voter registration as mandated by law. She explained further that for a voter to be qualified to cast his or her ballot, one must be included on the electors list. To be eligible for conclusion on the list, the candidate must be at least 18 and a citizen by birth or registration. There is also provision for Commonwealth citizens, that is, person who is a national of any country within the Commonwealth of Nations.
You can be a Commonwealth citizen, but you must be in the country, you must be residing at least 12 months before you're being qualified to register. You also have to be residing within the polling division for at least 3 months before being able to be put on the registration list. So these are the qualifications for registration.
To register as a voter, the candidate must take the necessary documentation to his or her district registration officer.
You must be a citizen. You must bring in a document to show that you're a citizen. You'll bring in your passport. Also, your passport will also show your age, that you have achieved the age 18. And you need also a witness within the polling district that you're going to register. A witness to say, well, I know the person. The witness must be an elector on the list. In the cases of the persons, the Commonwealth citizens, they would need to bring in the document to show their passport to show that they're Commonwealth citizens, and they would need some document to show that they're residing in Dominica for over 12 months.
According to the chief elections officer, every resident should be familiar with his or her district registration officer.
It's public knowledge. The information is out there on the buildings, also the registration, the offices. They also a notice saying that persons register can be registered, and it will give you the times. Registering officers are supposed to put in the times that you're able to come in to see them. And everybody, I suppose, is aware that there are registration officers, because it is also published in the newspaper. It is published to say who your registering officer and who your assistant registering officers are.
Persons can be found ineligible for registration if he or she is of unsound mind, a patient at a mental institution, or is serving a prison sentence. Voter registration is an ongoing process, which means qualified candidates can be added to the electors list year-round. Since names are continually being added, a number of lists are put out regularly for the sake of public information.
The registration list comes out every quarter. You have the supplementary list. It's a continuous registration process. So person that registers within a certain period, they will appear on the supplementary list. So supplementary list comes out in late February. By the 15th of March of every year, the supplementary list should be out. And by the 15th of June, it should be out before that time. Also in August, the supplementary list is out. Then we have September, the preliminary list of electors comes out. The list would include all amendments and the corrections. And the final list, in the final list, it would give you all the persons that have been registered throughout the year, including the amendments that were made and the original list. So that would include everything for the year. All the names that have been amended, included, changes that have been made, will be in the final list of electors.
Voter registration for the period only closes when the election writ is issued. This is a public announcement of election. The day of the writ's issuance is the last day of voter registration for that election period. Any person who registers after the issuance will not be allowed to vote during the current election. The names of the new voters will, however, be included in the next supplementary list up to 7 days after the writ's issuance. If you are already a registered voter, it is good practice to update your record with your registration officer if your address or occupation has changed. Families and loved ones of deceased voters should also inform registration officers of deaths. For more information on voter registration, feel free to contact the Electoral Commission office at 266-3534, 333, extension 3336, or 448-3399. So I'll take those numbers again. To contact the Electoral Commission office, you may call 266-3534 or extension 3336 or 448-3399. You can also drop them a line at electoraloffice@dominica.gov.dm. In other news, Acting Prime Minister Honorable Reginald Austrie has told the nation that at this critical time in Dominica's economic development, there is no room for novices in government. Speaking at a press conference last week, Honorable Austrie stated that it is best to continue with the government which has been proven to work.
This is not time for experimenting with the economic development of Dominica. We've come from a long way. This government has taken us from way back, brought us to this juncture. There is still a lot of work to be done, and there is no room for novices, there is no room for idlers, there is no room for loiterers in that process of national development. You have to go with experience. You know where we were, you know where we are from, you know you have a dedicated team, you have a team you know, you have a team you can trust, you have a team that's been here with you for the last 15 years. You've seen what we've done.
Honorable Austrie is confident that, led by Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, the current administration has proven repeatedly its ability to handle the challenges of managing the finances and diplomatic relationships of a vulnerable small island state. He says there is no reason to change that now.
I don't believe now is the time to go experimenting with a bunch of novices that have no idea what politics is about, that have no idea what development is, and not even a basic foreign policy. At the appropriate time, I'm sure the people of Dominica will make the right decision and allow this present group of gentlemen under the leadership of Roosevelt Skerrit to continue to chart this country out of very difficult and dangerous waters into prosperity.
And finally, this news time, the Skerrit family has released the first pictures of newborn Dimitri Roosevelt Skerrit just over a month after his birth. Mrs. Skerrit, via her Facebook page, shared the photos of the family. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit and wife, the Prime Minister's 14-year-old son Malik, and baby Dimitri. The photo was captioned, "Happy New Year to all. Pray that God will richly bless you and your household in 2014. Again, GIS congratulates the beautiful family and takes this opportunity to wish them a happy New Year. And that's all for National Focus. We apologize for not being able to bring you the Creole news highlights. Coming up next, we'll tell you what you should do to start afresh in your plans for the new year. Stay with us.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
A new year is always a great time to start fresh. It's also a time to reflect on the older year. What was your New Year's resolution in 2013? How well did you keep to those commitments to yourself? Now is a good time to take stock of your failures and accomplishments before making plans for 2014. If you did not remain on track in 2013, don't be discouraged. It may not be easy, but it is possible to make resolutions that stick. For 2014, set yourself up for success. Set specific, realistic goals and make a plan to help yourself achieve them. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. As usual, we always welcome your suggestions and your comments, so please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website at news.gov.dm. Friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm your presenter, Tarnia Green. Thank you so much for watching and have yourselves a wonderful weekend.